All right, I'm back in the studio. Thrift is fishing, but I figured we owed it to y'all to get back in here and play some catch up. That seems like that's all we're doing this year on Let's Talk Fish. But Let's Talk Fish, obviously y'all know, is presented by English Choice Marine. We appreciate all our faithful followers, especially the live viewers, because, guys, gals, we're here to help. We're here to engage. We're here to talk fishing, obviously, a little hunting if we're allowed. But we give a lot of goods on this show, give a lot of tips. We try to answer as many questions as we can. And, so we have a good time, needless to say. But unfortunately, Thrift's not here. But the good news is he's out at Eufaula, Oklahoma, dodging tornadoes. Okay, they had some nasty, nasty storms. Actually, who was it, Tyler? You probably know. Posted some videos of some tornadoes when they were practicing. Yeah, I think Ayler, maybe Bradley Roy. A couple of those guys threw out some videos on their social media. Check those out of actual tornadoes. Like, I think Brent's running down the lake and there's a tornado paralleling him.
He's sitting there smiling going down the lake and there's a tornado going down into the water.
Hey, maybe he's a natural born storm chaser or something. So. Obviously bass fisherman too, but anyway, so English Choice, presenting sponsor of Let's Talk Fish. Real quick, guys, I got to announce something. All right, so there's a spring savings event going on. A lot of people aren't aware of it yet. It's going on until Memorial Day, which is May 27th? Tyler's shrugging his shoulders.
Sure.
I think it's May 27th, okay, Memorial Day. But this sale goes on until Memorial Day. Spring savings on Ranger boats, all right? So up to $18,000. You heard me right, $18,000 on select models. And a gift card up to $2,000 to Bass Pro or Cabela's. Swing by your local Ranger dealer, check them out. Obviously, English Choice Marine is our preferred Ranger dealer. They have 3 locations. Don't forget Martinsville, Virginia, Lexington, North Carolina, and Spindale, North Carolina. On top of that, tonight, for our trivia giveaway, we're going to be giving away a $50 gift card to English Choice. All right, English Choice in Martinsville, Virginia. They got all kinds of apparel, tackle, all kinds of goodies. You can take that $50 gift card and use it towards a boat, and then tack on $18,000 in savings too. How about that? So you get $18,050 in savings. So I'm sure they'd allow that if that's what they wanted to use their gift card for. I don't know anybody that's ever used a $50 gift card for extra savings on a Ranger boat purchase, but hey, every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. All right. Ryan said he just started a GoFundMe page for a new Ranger boat. Good luck with that, Ryan. Let me know how that turns out. But there again, $18,000, y'all, is a lot of money, a lot of savings on a new boat. So if you are in the market or considering a new boat, a new Ranger, go check them out right now. It's a great time to buy participating models, $18,000 in savings, $2,000 gift card. I know I do a lot with $2,000. I can do a lot of damage in a Bass Pro Shops with $2,000 gift card. I mean, right now I could always use more diaphragm calls for turkey hunting. I mean, I got 50, but it seems like I always buy 10 more every season. It's like I use one for a week and I'm like, I need a new one. And I just go get another one, or I get a 3-pack or 4-pack or 5-pack. You don't know nothing about that. I know Tyler's looking at me like I'm crazy because he's not a turkey hunter. But I have been, Smoke's not here tonight. That's right, Ryan. We could talk turkey hunting because there's no smoke in the house tonight. He'd be like, we don't talk hunting on this show. Well, by gosh, we can talk a little hunting on this show. We'll save that till later, though. But, yeah, y'all, appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm going to give a wrap up on the Harris Chain, the St. Johns River, our Florida Swing with the Bassmaster Elite Series. We're going to talk about manatees. Got to see some manatees.
Yeah, I got to see that.
Did you? You saw that on Fox Sports, didn't you? Yeah. So, actually, on the final day at St. Johns River, I had a manatee that just decided to hang out with us for a little while, and you saw a little bit of that if you followed the Bassmaster Elite Series on Fox Sports. But what was cool was that manatee, he didn't know how big a star he was. He's on Fox Sports for 10 minutes or so. He followed my boat around. I was flipping the edge of some lily pads on the St. Johns River, and he followed my boat around and he'd come up and he'd kind of kiss the motor. He actually came all the way to the front of the boat, and he was sitting there sucking on my trolling motor. I don't know what he was trying to get off of it, but I think he was so impressed with those Lowrance Electronics. He was that's a bad sponsor plug, wasn't it? That was a bad sponsor. He's trying to kiss my active target or something. But try. No, he really was. He was up there sucking on the trolling motor. I wasn't sure exactly what he was doing. Do what?
He's cleaning it for
you. He's cleaning it, yeah. But those are really, really cool animals. And the funny thing is Canterbury and Hollywood, they had seen them all week. They had seen consistently throughout the week. I think both of them had. Matt's just sitting here, he ain't seen one yet. And not till day 4, when I got a camera in the boat, does one decide to grace us with his presence and while we're live, and actually hang out with us for a little while. So, and my cameraman Brandon was awesome. He got some great footage of it. Actually got some killer footage of a couple fish catches that day. He did a phenomenal job. Shout out to Brandon. Brandon's a 21-year-old kid from Colorado, but loves what he does, and he's really good at it too. So
that one, I think it was that frog fish.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah,
good
the frog bite. So Mercer said that's going to go in the pot for one of the bassies this year. You know, they had the bassies like the ESPYs or whatever, just for bragging rights. But obviously it was Brandon more than it was me. I just put the frog out there and got the bite, but he zoomed in on it and had a pretty awesome shot of that.
I think they should do a bassies for the cameraman.
Well, that's kind of what it's for, because the reason that that's such good footage, it's because of them. You know, I mean, it's a combination, right? Like we're out there doing our job, but they get you know, they get the goods, and those guys are good. Man, I don't know anybody really gives them enough credit, because those guys who run those cameras on their shoulders for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and I mean, they don't get a break. Like, we're fishing all day and they're filming all day. So worst thing that can happen is you something crazy happens and they don't catch it on camera, and you know, the whole world doesn't get to see it, and that's part of what's so awesome about our sport, especially being able to watch it live. But anyway, let's back up to Harris Chain real quick, okay? Harris Chain, excuse me, I'm going to say this right now on this podcast. Harris Chain needs some help. I cannot tell you exactly what's wrong down there. I know they killed a bunch of the grass, okay? I had heard rumors about a fish kill down there, you know, late last fall, maybe early winter or something like that. I can tell you this, like, in a week of me fishing the Harris Chain, and I've been there multiple times over the years, I caught 150 plus bass. In the tournament, I caught probably over 80 bass in 2 days. And I fished Big Harris, Little Harris, Eustis, and Dora were the 4 lakes that I fished mostly. I did not lock out to Griffin or Apopka. Now, the rumor was Apopka was fishing a little bit better before the tournament, and then the tournament kind of went all to crap. I don't know if that was a result of the big storm or whatever. But that being said, Harris Chain, the fish looked very poor. A lot of them looked very, very poor. I did not catch a 3-pound bass out of 120 to 140 fish that I caught throughout the week. I didn't catch a 3-pounder. Now, yes, there were some big ones caught, but if you compare the weights of every tournament in 2024 that's been on the Harris Chain out of Big Harris, right there in Venetian Gardens, the weights have been very, very poor overall. There are still big fish there, but there needs to be some TLC down there. And I'm not a biologist. I don't know exactly what's going on. I'm just speaking from experience and what I got to witness. You know, when you catch that many fish on a renowned Florida fishery like Harris Chain, that's known for such big fish, they you know, there should be some big ones mixed in. But regardless, I'll say I survived that tournament. I ended up 54th. I think 54th, but just outside the cut, like 10 ounces outside the day 3 cut. I didn't really lose any fish that cost me the cut. I just never caught a 3-pounder. I literally weighed in like, I think I had just under 23 pounds for 2 days, and it took 23 even. So here's the funny thing about that. You don't know this, Tyler, but so I talked to Brian Schmidt. Brian's one of my buddies. I talked to him after the first day of practice at the Harris Chain, and I said, Brian, I said, this place fishing pretty tough, and you know, he was agreeing with me, and I said, man, I bet you it won't take. I said, I don't think it'll take more than 23 pounds to make the top 50. And he said, oh no, man. He said, these boys are good. He's like, they always catch what lives here. He's like, it'll take more than that. And I'm like, I don't think it will. I said, I'll bet you $20 it takes 23 or less. And I said, if it's 23-1 or more, you win the bet. He said, deal. Right away, he said, deal. You know what 50th place was?
It was 23.
Even. 23 even. So the bittersweet part of not making the cut was being able to text Schmitty. Actually, I called him. I was sitting in the boat getting ready to head to St. John's and packing my stuff up. And I said, Schmitty. He said, what's up? And I said, have you looked at the standings? And he said, no, man. I don't think Brian had a good tournament either. But so he probably didn't even want to look at him. And I said, you know what 50th place was? He said, what was it? I said, 23 pounds. He said, 23 what? I said, 23 even. I said, you know you owe me $20, right? He said, man, yeah. And he paid me. The next time he saw me, he paid me. Brian's good. Brian's good for his and a rookie, nice kid from Alabama, Wesley Gore, actually made it. I won 2 bets at the Harris Chain. So I walked away with a small check from Bass, but $20 from two fellow fishermen. And I pulled in and I weighed in, and I think I had 22.10 or something like that was my total. And Wesley said, oh, you'll make the cut. You'll make the cut with that. I said, I don't think I'll make the cut with that. I said, it's going to take 23 pounds, I think, or more. At the time, I think it might take 23 and a half or 24. And when I did, and I bet him $20. He said, yeah, I'll take that bet. I think you'll make it. So I didn't make the cut and won another $20. Wesley paid me the next time he saw me too. And
so you won for losing.
Yeah, I won for losing. Yeah. Got a small check for missing the cut, finishing 54th from Bass, but won 2 $20 bets on the side hustle there. But anyway, overall, Harris Chain, tough event. A lot of bites. I talking to a local guy there. I was talking about how poor some of the fish look. He said, well, they're post-spawn. I said, man, it's April, dude. I said, a lot of these fish spawn in January and February. I said, they shouldn't look. And I'm talking about, when I say look bad, like as wide as that bag right there. Like, as wide as that bag. Like, they had heads of a 3-pounder and they weighed 115 or 114 on my scale. So pretty poor. But anyway, hopefully they get that place back rocking, because it sets up beautifully. It's a heck of a fishery. It's always had giants in it. And, there was a couple great big ones caught. Sure, there always is. But regardless of the state of the fishery, but it was overall weights were down. Fish just didn't look as good. But, when you kill the grass out of a lake like that, it's typically what happens. So, all right, on to St. John's. Oh, shout out to my co-host who's not here because he's fishing. But I think he finished day 1, which was today, of the BPT in the top 10. Did he not? Tyler shrugging his shoulder. Well, we can't watch it because it's not live.
No, but I can. Don't they post it?
They do post the results. At least they do that. Yeah, they do post the results. But they don't do the live anymore the first couple of days or whatever. So, but I'm pretty sure Brian finished day 1 in top 10. So shout out to Thrifty. Old Smoke's back to smoking them. He's back to his old ways. But they got some killer conditions out there. And when I mean killer, I mean like negative aspect, like in a negative tone.
So
the water
I have
came
confirmation.
Up. Yep.
He's in 8th.
8th. I said top 10, so I was right. Water shot up. They had all those storms, tornadoes, crazy weather. Water shot up a couple feet. It's all nasty out there and stuff. I don't feel like there's a lot of scoping going on out there with the high, dirty water. Obviously, I didn't get to watch, so I don't know primarily what the major patterns are, but I know Andy Morgan's in the top 10 also. That ought to tell you something. And I do think, Mike Harris said Thrift is in 8th, Andy Morgan in 9th. So there we go. We're rooting for you, Thrift. We're rooting for you, Smoke. He didn't even watch the show, so I don't even know why I'm saying that. He's never going to hear that. Maybe somebody can edit this clip out and tell him, good luck, Smoke. All right, St. John's. So, Ryan, I don't eat nasty stuff. I mean, to answer your question, I don't eat nasty stuff. I just don't do it. Like, I mean, he asked me why, if you hadn't seen Scott Martin, our latest travel video from when we were going from Harris Chain to St. John's, we get settled in at St. John's, and Canterbury had bought these bean Boozled. I think that's what they're called. Yep. So they're these jelly beans, okay? This is a jelly bean brand. He bought them at Cracker Barrel. We ate breakfast there one morning. And he bought a regular bag of jelly beans, and he bought the bean Boozled. If you haven't seen those bean Boozled, you need to Google these things, because it's basically all the jelly beans, okay? And you'll have like one that looks like the marshmallow flavor and another one that looks exactly the same. And there's one that's actually the marshmallow flavor, and the other one's like dirty sock. And then you'll have one that's like dead fish. And then literally had one that's like barf. But they look like all the other jelly beans in there. So it's basically like playing Russian roulette with jelly beans. And Scott Canterbury took them and mixed them up in a regular bag of jelly beans. Because Scott Martin, Hollywood, if you set a bag of candy out, like in the house that we're staying in, you just set it in the middle of the table, like Hollywood, when he comes by, he's getting him a handful. Don't matter, Sour Patch Kid, Jolly Ranchers, chocolate-covered blueberries, whatever it is, he's going to get him a handful when he comes by. Well, he got him a handful of them jelly beans, dude, and he put them in his mouth. He chewed them for a second. And if you hadn't seen this on Scott's video, you need to go watch it. It's on the SMC YouTube channel. And Scott, I mean, dude, you can see his face just start to turn, and he goes over to the sink. He starts spitting it out. Like, He's like, God, what are you eating, dude? Those things are awful. So apparently he got a good combination. So he had some fruity ones in there, some actual, jelly bean flavors, and then he had some of the bean boozled, which are literally like rotten fish, dirty sock, barf, boogers. One tastes like booger. I mean, I don't like. I just pulled a couple of them open and smelled them like the bad ones, and dude, you couldn't like. It was awful, like awful.
I got to give props to McCoy though on that screenshot, because when they screenshotted it well to where it looked like you had ate them, and I said there ain't no way Matt participated in this. I said, I got to watch it and see. There ain't no way.
I already knew they were setting Scott up. So I mean, and then after he spit him out in the sink, like they made him sick to his stomach. They're like, "Oh, here, Matt, try one." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that sounds great idea." No, I'm not going to eat any of those. Keith Wood said his wife played that on him, and he got the vomit one. Gah, I can only dirty dishwater. Dirty dishwater. That's one of them, Ryan. That's right. Jody, I'll get to that in just a second. Jody's asking about the guy and the gun. So, yeah, that was pretty wild. I'll tell you a couple of funny things about St. John's. Got a lot to talk about tonight, but back to St. John's. Overall, I did end up scoring a top 10 down there. Great for the AOI points. I think it moved us up to like 17th or 18th in the AOI points. Ended up 9th in that tournament. Caught quite a few fish, caught quite a few of them sight fishing the first couple of days. Last day had a ball. I got to catch some on a shell bed, caught some sight fishing, caught some frogging, caught some flipping pads. Hopefully we were able to entertain everybody that was watching on Fox Sports, because we had a camera in the boat. I had a camera in the boat for 3 days in that one. So we got a lot of good footage, had a good time, had a great cameraman in Mr. Brandon himself. And, overall good finish. But majority of my damage was done sight fishing in the same general area that Corey and Chris Johnston were in. And we we all got along great. Everything was kosher in there. I was in there from day one all the way until day 3. After day 3, I saw the lead that Corey had, and I left it to him. He actually asked me at blast off. He said, "Hey man, are you going down there today? Are you going to be in there?" And I said, "No, man, I'm going to leave it to you." And he shook my hand, said he appreciates it. And I said, "Look, dude," I said, just pay it forward. If I got a 20-pound lead on day 4 and you and I are fishing the same water, and you're 20 pounds behind, I expect a favor in return too. And he said, absolutely. So Johnston boys are good boys, hell of a fisherman, both of them. Corey's very deserving. And, actually Corey talks about that. Midwest bass hunter, someone protested one of the fish Corey caught. There was rumors about something being caught outside the mouth, and the fish was actually caught off perspective, off his Garmin perspective mode, not visually looking at the fish. There was some conflict about that. Corey took a polygraph and passed it. Corey is not that type of guy. Arguably some of the best sight fishermen in the world, the Johnston boys, and that was kind of put to bed. First of all, Corey didn't even need the fish to win, first of all. Second, I do think there's a rule that needs to be addressed moving forward about forward-facing sonar, bedding bass, hooked inside the mouth, things like that. I think that is something we need to look at under a magnifying glass pretty closely, because as technology continues to improve, it's going to become easier and easier to target those fish, and that's just something that's going to have to be addressed eventually. All right, we were smelling them afterwards, the jelly beans, Ryan. That's right. Back to the Harris chain real quick. I'm thinking that gun incident happened at the St. Johns River, but Scott Martin. Okay, if anybody's familiar with the Harris chain, you go from Harris, you go through the Dead River, which is a 10-minute idle zone. You go through Eustis, you get into the Dora Canal. That's a 15-minute idle minimum. You go through Dora and Beauclair, and then you get into the Apopka Canal. Okay, the Apopka Canal runs down to the lock, which locks you into another part of the canal that runs all the way out to Lake Apopka. Scott, actually, that canal, after you go through the lock, and then I'm not exactly sure where this happened, but it is indeed, you can run through there. It's not a no-wake zone where he was running. You can run that, And obviously nobody runs it at 75 miles an hour. Most of the guys will run it 50, 55 mile an hour. Fairly safe, as long as you stay in the middle. Don't run anybody over. Don't do anything stupid. Pay attention to what you're doing, and yield to oncoming boats too. But he actually was running down that canal, and there's this older fella in a little V-bottom kind of tucked into the overhangs there to the left side, and he sees him right at the last minute. And he starts to let off the gas, and as he lets off the gas, this dude pulls a gun out of his pocket, a straight up like revolver, and like a little silver revolver. And you don't see in the video on Scott's YouTube, you don't see him pointing the gun at him, but he indeed pointed the gun at him and then held it up as Scott went by. He got a little bit of this on camera, a little bit on footage. But Scott, he came off pad saying, "Man, I'm sorry I didn't see you." He didn't want to wake the guy out. Well, when he saw the gun, he sped back up, and then he set it back down. He started yelling back at him. He said, "Man, I'm going to get you. I'm calling the cops. You can't do that. You can't just point a gun at people, yada, 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 And yeah, the dude got, I'm pretty sure he got a visit from the local police. All that was reported to the tournament director, the local law enforcement, the local fisheries and wildlife officers. Yeah, they have that guy on their list now. They're very aware of what happened. Scott did have the option to press charges. I don't blame him for choosing not to, because that becomes a big pain for him with his schedule and having to go back down there and all that stuff. So he just wanted to make sure the guy was taught a lesson that you can't just go, can't run around waving guns at people and pointing it at people, especially. But that's that was a pretty serious incident. And then a funnier incident is when Scott almost got. He did get shot once, but he almost got shot twice. Tyler's wondering what I'm talking about. So what I mean by that is when he was coming back from Apopka, he made it to the Dora Canal, which is a 15 to 20 minute idle from Dora back into Eustis. He's idling through there, man. I tell you, excuse me, it can get crowded in those canals, and they're so narrow. If there's one lane of traffic coming this way and one lane going this way, there's not room to get around somebody, and it's a no wake zone. Okay, but there are people in there that will get in there and literally put their boat in gear and never touch the gas. Okay, well, we're on a time constraint, right? Like we can idle a lot faster than that safely without making a huge wake. Well, Canterbury just happens to be in front of Martin in this canal, and there's a pontoon in front of them. I think it's a pontoon. Don't hold me to this, but I think it's a pontoon. There's an older fella and an older lady in there. And Canterbury idles around the guy when he gets first chance, because the guy's barely moving, right? He's just got it in gear. Idles around the guy. Well, the guy, Scott Martin said he could hear the guy yelling something at Canterbury, and he thought he was just messing with him or joking with him or whatever. And he said, Scott Martin said the second he got to get around him, he starts idling around him. Well, when Scott Martin idles around him, dude pulls out a super soaker, like 3,000. And he's like, "Hey, it's a no-wake zone." And he starts shooting him with his water gun. But it's pretty funny. This is on the YouTube channel, too. And he said, "Man, I'm sorry, I'm in a tournament. You're barely moving. You can pass in this canal, yada, yada, yada. You just can't get on plane or do anything crazy, make a huge wake." And the guy yelled something at him, like, "You should have left earlier if you got a tournament," or something like that. And, it wouldn't have mattered. He could idle twice as fast as this guy, and he'd have probably caught up with him anyway. But that being said, yeah, so the him getting shot was kind of a semi-joke. He did get shot by a water gun, a super soaker. But the dude just happened to have this super soaker under his console, which is weird to me in the first place. Older guy.
I want to say he's probably done that before.
Yeah, I know. He's probably shooting people with a water gun all day when they pass him in a canal and they pass him on a lake. He's shooting with a water gun. And anyway, he shoots Hollywood with a water gun, which is pretty funny. And Scott's laughing the whole time. He just thinks it's funny, but then he realized the guy was pretty serious. He's yelling at him. And Scott said, "I almost had the nerve to trim my motor up and completely swamp his boat as I went by." And he said, I refrained. I said, "Yeah, don't do that, because you could actually get DQ'd for that. It could be unsportsmanlike conduct, or whatever. You could definitely get in trouble for that." So, but yeah, long story short, it's pretty funny, pretty funny little deal there with the water gun. But the other deal was not funny. It was very serious, and yeah, it's pretty crazy for a fool to pull a gun on somebody because they got a wake too close to his boat. And anyway, I mean, it was 100% accidental, and Scott didn't see the guy till the last minute, and you'll see it on the video. If you watch it on his YouTube channel, you'll see it. You'll see how it went down. All right. back to St. John's and the way that place was fishing, man, it was absolutely a free-for-all. You could catch them almost any way you wanted to. There was a lot more fish on the bed than people thought. Obviously, that was the number one player in Corey's victory, but you could catch them in Rodman. I believe Jacob Fouts made the top 10 out of Rodman. 2 or 3 guys were actually fishing Crescent. There were multiple guys down in the Astor area, in the river below George there. There was a lot of guys in the main river on St. John's fishing shell beds, flipping pads, things like that. Several guys fishing the springs, obviously. But, man, there was a lot of different things going on. Good tournament overall. That was only my second top 10 in Florida ever, and actually both of my top 10s in Florida were at the St. John's River. So I don't even know if that even counts as Florida, because St. John's River is a tidal fishery. It's very different to me than all the other Florida fisheries that we go to. It is very unique in that aspect, but I always enjoy going to St. John's. I've had a lot of good tournament finishes there, and yeah, always looking forward to going back. April in Florida was new to me. I'd never been to Florida after like early March was the latest I've ever been, so I didn't know what to expect. But it kind of played out in my mind, or it kind of played out like it did in my mind before I went, in that there was a little bit of everything going on. And the weather was much more consistent, and the fish were much more willing to bite. When we go down in February and stuff, there's a lot of variables with the weather, and if it gets really cold and nasty, man, it gets super, super, super tough.
Do you feel like most of the anglers like going to Florida this time of year, and they're going to want to go back this time of year earlier than earlier?
I think so. I think so. I think mid to late March, all the way through the month of April, I think Florida's pretty good. I obviously don't have very little experience down there this time of year, but I think overall, I'd vote to go back in April. I don't want to go May, June, July when it gets super hot, but and that's just strictly due to weather. But I think any time from mid-March to mid-April would be cool to do that again. So we are going to roll on into Lake Murray next. So I actually leave, this Sunday. I actually leave this Sunday for Lake Murray. And Lake Murray is going to be a great event. I have no doubt. I do actually believe that the fish are going to be just as hard, if not harder, to catch than I've ever seen them before as far as the herring fish are concerned. Those fish get absolutely destroyed down there. And they're big, and they're there, but they're smart. The tournament will probably look pretty good on paper, as it did last time we were there, but it was not easy to catch them last time we were there. Now, there were quite a few fish still on the bed last time we were there. I don't expect that there'll be quite as many spawning this time around as there was last time. I feel like most of those fish are done by the end of April, and I'm sure there'll be some stragglers. I'm sure there'll be a few, fry garters, things like that to be caught, but I do also feel like the fish, the dominant deal will be the herring spawn fish, possibly some shad spawn fish, and there'll definitely be some fry garters. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody ends up catching them on a frog way up that river or something like that too. So we will see how it shakes out, but leave Sunday, practice starts on Monday for that tournament, and always looking forward to that one because it's 2.5 hours from the house, and I don't have to leave until Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, so I can spend a little bit extra time at home before I take off. All right, I'm going to jump into some questions, and we've talked about manatees, we've talked about Harris chain, we've talked about St. John's, we've talked about the tornadoes that Thrift and them were dealing with out in Oklahoma. We haven't talked turkey hunting. To be short and sweet, I have killed 2 turkeys. I killed one in South Carolina and one in North Carolina. And I will say this, the one I killed in North Carolina was the first one I've ever killed, was like pearl white spurs, which was kind of cool. But he had pretty white spurs, big bird. Actually caught him in 2 different times and killed him on the second time. Kind of came in at a bad angle the first time and had to kind of back up and punt and reset and come around to a different setup to get this bird. He had a buddy with him too, but the buddy I think was like a 2-year-old bird, and this was the strutter. He was the boss, and he came in all blown up and thinking he was a man until he got a load of that 3.5-inch TSS. Somebody asked me the other day when I posted that turkey kill, said, "Why do you shoot?" Or he said something about, "What, are you trying to knock a planet out of the sky or something with that 3.5-inch shell or something?" I don't know. I've always had some smart comments about the load that I shoot. 3.5 inches, and it's a big, it's a big shell. It'll knock your shoulder off, and I shoot it out of a 12 gauge, and I just simply replied, and I said, man, I shoot 3.5s because they don't make 4s. So if they made 4s, I'd probably shoot 10. But it does. Every time I shoot a turkey with that gun, it leaves a nice little character mark right here on my shoulder. Every time, never fails. But
battle scars.
Yeah, battle scars. That's right. I have not tried the turkey nugget recipe yet, Ryan. We actually, the first bird that I shot, we actually ate it like 2 days later, and we were kind of rushing, and I just used some old house Altry mix and mixed it up, nuggeted it up, and threw it in the fryer. But the second one I shot was completely made in the all turkey burger, even part of the leg meat and everything. We made it in the turkey burger. Girls love turkey burger. We use it in tacos. We use it in all kinds of stuff. We'll even use it in spaghetti. But yeah, we'll use that turkey burger and everything. But yeah, Ryan, that thing's got some range. I've killed them at 50 plus yards with a 3.5, and I mean, you can shoot them. You can shoot them at 50 yards, with certain type chokes and smaller guns and smaller loads. But man, that 3.5, and I'll be honest with you, everybody gets crazy about all these fancy turkey chokes out there, but I shoot a Super Black Eagle Benelli that I got actually when I was 18. Okay, so that's 25 years old. My gun's 25 years old, and I shoot the factory full choke. I don't shoot an extra full. I don't shoot all these fancy turkey gold spiral plated full, extra full, 65 yard, whatever. I shoot a straight up full factory Benelli choke in my Super Black Eagle, and I shoot a 3.5 inch TSS load out of it, and I have never ever whatsoever had any issues at killing them out to 50 to 60 yards with that gun. Now about 55 is the furthest I've ever killed one. Now keep in mind, I hunt a lot of woods birds as opposed to field birds, so yeah, that's right, 3.5 inch shells would work good for bed fishing. All right, enough about turkey hunting. Brian, he said that all Thrift's fish were caught with a jig head minnow according to the stats. Interesting. I did look at the weights for today's event. It was pretty slim pickings. It looked like if you had 5 that weighed 11 pounds, you were in the top 10 or something like that. I mean, it's pretty poor. But with the conditions they're having to deal with, it's not surprising. But anyway, Mr. Jones, he said, when are the rods coming out? Said I prepaid but can't remember. So the rods are available for pre-order, talking about the Pulse rods. My Signature Series rods, along with the Pulse Fish rods, are, I know my rods are available for pre-order now on pulsefishlures.com. They should be landing, I want to say, late May, early June. And then they'll be shipping out. It says it on there. I can't remember. Don't hold me to the date exactly, but we should have them starting to ship hopefully late May, early June, somewhere in there. But forgive me if I'm a little off on that, but I think that's pretty accurate. So those rods are available for pre-order. I was actually been using the prototypes all year on tour. Now I'm using a combination of rods because I don't have 5 of every rod. I just had one prototype of each design, so I'm using those along with some old rods and things like that. So I've got a conglomerate of different brands of rods in my boat actually that I've been using this year. All right, let's jump into a few more questions. Ryan said he calls them turkey crack nuggets.
I've seen a couple questions about McKinney's penalty.
Oh yeah, so penalties. That was part of the title. Tyler, you got to keep me straight over here.
Well, I was jumping in right there to get you on.
All right, so Trey McKinney did receive a penalty, and I think we might have had 2 anglers. I know, and I'm not going to throw any names out there because I don't know exactly if it happened. But basically, what happened to Trey, there's a trestle down there on the St. Johns River that I think, according to the locals, you can actually run it. Okay, but they send us a tournament briefing video. When that trestle's closed, it's actually pretty low. You can get under it, no problem. Like I've got 10-foot power poles and I can idle under it without hitting it. But if you run through that thing with the bridge closed, it feels like you got a duck. I mean, you don't, but it feels like you do. So for safety reasons, and they said this in the pre-tournament.
Kind of like the Lake Hickory Bridge.
Yeah. And Lisa said this. She clarified this, and it's always been that way every time we've been there. Now, Trey being a rookie was his first time fishing a tournament there with the Bassmaster Elite Series. But I saw Trey. I knew he had been protested for it, and I knew he was going to be hit with a penalty. And on day 2, I saw him, and I was kind of messing with him. Probably shouldn't have said this, but I saw him in line. He was close to me in blast-off order. I said, Trey, I said, what number are you? And he told me, and he said, I got to wait. He said, I got to go through the line and come back and wait an hour and a half. He said, I got penalized. I said, I know, man. I'd given you a hard time. I said, growing pains. I said, that's growing pains, son, growing pains. And he said, yeah. And he said, I said, you ran the trestle? And he said, yep. I said, yeah, that's always been, no wake here, just for safety reasons for us. And I said, did you not watch the pre-tournament video? I said, Lisa said in there that it was. He said, I watched it. He said, but I had it playing over here while I was getting some rods rigged over here and this, that, and that. And I said, okay. I said, well, it was in there, just so you know. I said, but for future reference, I said, watch those videos and pay close attention, because if it's your first time fishing the elites, a lot of these venues that we go to, there are specific rules in place for the safety of us and other people on the water, like running that trestle. And long story short, I was constructively joking with Trey, but in a way to say, hey, man, just lesson learned. Like that's a good way to learn a lesson, an hour and a half penalty, because, it's Bass's discretion. They could have disqualified his day. Trey's leading the Angler of the Year title right now, Angler of the Year points. They disqualify your day, it's a big deal. That's a big deal. So, all right. John, I have bait casting and spinning. So in my lineup, I have 6 rods, or 6 or 7 rods. I have 1 spinning rod. The rest are bait casters and the Pulse fish rods. So there's a Pulse Fish Matt Arey Signature Series, and then there's a Pulse Fish Series. The Pulse Fish Series has 2 other spinning rod models. So in total, there's 3 spinning rod models. We built these rods to meet almost every need out there as far as their every blank that we built is multi-purpose. We're not just having one specific rod for one specific technique. There is one particular composite rod that I designed for cranking and throwing lipless crankbaits on that I absolutely love. And but other than that, the rest of them are pretty versatile rods, anywhere from 6'10" all the way up to 7.5 foot, and lifetime warranty on these rods, y'all. I mean, they're not going to break the bank. My rods are $189. The Pulse Fish rods, I think, are $159. Lifetime warranty. You keep your proof of purchase, and the rod breaks, and you show us your proof of purchase, and we send you a new one. You just pay shipping. That's it. So, can't beat that. And they won't break the bank, and it's good stuff, y'all. I mean, I'll be using. That's all I'll be using. Jerry, what reels am I using? I'm actually using Bass Pro reels. I had signed with Bass Pro Shops last year, and I'm using the Platinum Series, Johnny Moore's Platinum Series. I'm using a lot of the Carbon Lights. The Carbon Light actually is one of my favorites. The Carbon Light bait casting model. It's a white reel, and I've used it a ton this year, and really, really like that reel, especially for the price. It's hard to beat. But the Platinums are really, really nice. But the Carbon Light might get my vote for my favorite Bass Pro reel. I really, really like that reel. All right, I am. Yeah, Greg, get on there and pre-order. You broke a rod. You see, if that would have been one of our rods, which I know you couldn't buy one yet, but Greg, if that would have been one of our rods, we'd replace it. No questions asked. As long as you have proof of purchase, just keep your proof of purchase. Thanks for the heads up, Jerry. He said when we're at Lake Murray looking to go out to eat, try Smokehouse 518 in Chapin and Robert's Raw Bar in Ballantyne. Both are nice places to go. Thanks for the heads up, Jerry. If we get a free chance, we don't have an off day next week, which kind of stinks. But I may see if the guys, if I get down there in time on Sunday night, maybe before practice starts, we'll go down to that Raw Bar. Sounds really, really cool. I'm assuming it's got oysters and things like that. That's right up my alley. I appreciate that, John. He said he broke his rule of no stickers on the boat, but in support of us and Pulse, he put a Pulse sticker on there. He said, that is a sacrifice. If you made your wife mad for our sake, then maybe you should consider reversing that. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But Lane, we looking forward to that, Lane. Yeah, man. Hopefully we'll get paired together. He's going to be a marshal down at Lake Murray. Said he rode with Hollywood last year on Santee. Said he wouldn't mind rolling in a Ranger. Yeah, I wouldn't mind having you in my Ranger, Lane. Hopefully we'll get to meet up down there. But that's funny, Ryan. So if nobody knows, it's no smoking anyway. That's just one of the rules of marshaling. But what he's referring to, I'll go ahead and say it, Ryan, is Brian had just, this is years back, Brian had just got his boat refurbed from Ranger, which a refurb, it usually put new seats and all new carpet in it before we'd sell our boats. And he said, we went out there on a Thursday night and fished, and I was on the back deck. He's running the trolling motor, and I like to smoke me a cigar every once in a while when I'm fishing. I mean, rare occasion, like probably once every other month or something, every 3 months. And I had a Black and Mild, and like a Black and Mild sweet or something, and I lit it up, and I was back there smoking on the back deck. And I didn't know it, but apparently I flipped the ash that went down where the compartment corners out, in the crease there, and it went down. So I didn't see it, and it went down there, and it was just sitting there burning. And it's brand new carpet. I burnt a pretty little hole in it about that big. And if you know Thrift, like I know Thrift, he lost his mind. Long story short, it's all good now. I'll never smoke another cigar in Bryan Thrift's boat as long as I live, or at least he won't let me. If he's looking the other way, maybe I'll have a chance to puff on one and then throw it out real quick or something. But no, won't be doing that anymore. But lesson learned. Sorry, Thrift. Again, he's not listening, so it doesn't matter. All right, Bass Man, let's address that. He said, what about the veteran elite anglers, not you, whining about live scope and bombing in tournaments, then make a video whining after they leave the tournament? What's your thoughts? Well, so I've talked about live scope a bunch on here, and everybody knows my thoughts about it. I do think something has to be done for multiple reasons. I do think the tackle industry will definitely suffer somewhat because of it. It'll be very it will narrow the market down at a super fast rate if it becomes more and more dominant each and every year. On top of that, it's completely changing the skills and the rules on how the sport is played, and that's a problem in my mind. Like the way the sport's played, like baseball has always been baseball, football has always been football. Now, yeah, there's minor rule changes here and there, but it's not. They never have something that comes about that changes the entire way the sport is played. That is what's happening to our sport with forward-facing sonar. Best tool ever invented, hands down, no questions asked. I'm just not into whining because I have the tool. Here's the thing. I have the tool on my boat, whether I'm for or against it. Everybody else has the same tools on their boat. Okay? If I have a bad tournament, I'm not going to blame it on forward-facing sonar. I'm not going to blame it on that. I'm going to blame it on myself for not being good enough with it to compete at the highest level. There's kids out there that are unbelievable with this stuff, way better than I am. But in the meantime, while it's still legal, I'm trying to work my butt off to become better with it and stay competitive. I'm holding my own. I'm just not one to make videos and put them on social media, whining and crying when I get my butt kicked in a tournament. I've had some bad events. I've never been one to try to make excuses when I have a bad event, because one thing about our sport is it is an individual sport. Minus a mechanical failure, right? Or a lock breaks and you don't make it back to weigh in, an uncontrollable variable, okay? But this variable, forward-facing sonar, is very controllable. It's controllable by me. I decide how good I get with it, or how much time I want to spend with it, or how much of my practice I want to dedicate to it. And if I opt not to do that, I'm taking a chance to get my butt kicked by it. So that's just the way it is. But my feelings on it, and I think I don't necessarily think it has a big place at the professional level of our sport. But I look at it from a different aspect too, and it's basically on how the sport's played, how the viewership and the engagements affected. I mean, I saw this firsthand. If anybody watched St. John's River, saw the final day, and you saw the feedback on social media, the live coverage, you were seeing 10 guys on multiple different bodies of water, literally Crescent Lake, St. Johns River, down in Astor, Rodman Reservoir. And I think only one guy in the top 10 was pretty much exclusively using forward-facing sonar. Now, it played a little bit of a role with Corey, but the majority of his win did not come off of forward-facing sonar. Christie, Hackney, myself, Drew Benton, Logan Latuso, all those guys, forward-facing sonar was not a player for that. The feedback was extremely positive. I know Zona and Tommy Sanders mentioned multiple times on live that I was told that they were, enjoying a quote old school tournament.
Davey Height said it's good to watch fishing.
Yeah, Davey Height said it was good to watch fishing. But I hope we were able to entertain. That's part of what we do. I want to engage people. I want to entertain people. At the same time, I want to do my job at the best of my ability, and I want to be successful. But I also want the fans to enjoy what we do and be able to learn not just how to look at a fish on your forward-facing sonar and shake a minnow over it. I want them to learn 25 different techniques in 25 different situations on 25 different fisheries. That's what I want them to learn. And I think our sport has so much to offer, but it's starting to become very, very narrow on this road that we're on as far as what we're being able to showcase and how we're being able to play our sport. So that's my take on it. Again, for like the 847th time.
I want to add something.
Sorry if I sound repetitive about forward-facing sonar, it's because we always get questions about it, and that's what and that's what I'm here for, to answer questions. So especially when we get them on live. What's up, Tyler?
I want to add a little bit to that question. That's been a discussional topic regarding the
Is this
rookies.
forward-facing sonar related? Because I don't want to continue with forward-facing sonar.
It's very quick.
Okay.
It's regarding the rookies. Everybody says the rookies this year on the elites would not be as competitive as they have been without it. You have fished with these guys. What's your take on that?
I think a few of them would and a few of them wouldn't. That's what I think. I think a few of them would and a few of them wouldn't. I think that I really shouldn't even say that because I don't know. None of us know. Some of these guys are so young that they haven't experienced enough or I haven't seen enough of them or know enough about them to answer that question. I can tell you that the majority of the rookies' success this year, the couple tournaments that Milliken had that he had strong finishes in, 100% forward-facing sonar. Trey McKinney's win and other solid finishes, 100% forward-facing sonar. JT Tompkins, 100% forward. Tyler Williams, 100% forward-facing sonar. So I mean, do you take that away? Do they still do good? Possibly. I don't know. I can't answer that. But I would like to be able to force all the anglers' hands to not just solely focus on that and get back to kind of, uncovering, again, 20 different techniques and 20 different patterns.
Instincts.
Instinct, sure, but just the entertainment aspect of it. When you watch a people laugh at me, but I always said this, one of my favorite tournaments on the elites to go back and watch is the Sabine River. And it's because people are making 50-mile runs this way and 30-mile runs this way, and they're shallow water power fishing, and one guy's throwing a fluke, and one guy's throwing a frog, and one guy's flipping, one guy's throwing a chatterbait, one guy's throwing a spinnerbait. That, to me, that's what I want to see. That's cool. But yeah, the TAA. Okay, I saw a comment about the TAA. I don't have any plans to fish the TAA as of right now, Ryan. I'm not going to ever say never. But, they had asked me to come fish the one at Lanier. To be honest with you, it was at a bad time. It was in between elite tournaments. It was one of my few breaks at home. It was right there close to Easter, if I'm not mistaken. And actually I asked a buddy of the guy who ran the tournament, called me asking me to come down and fish it. And it just is just one little issue I have with it. Overall, I think it was a great tournament. I think it's a good, cool concept. I like the short practice, or the no practice, really, it's 4-hour ride around. I do think you should possibly give people one full day of practice. And the reason I say that is because a lot of these are new fisheries for people. You need one day just to learn how to navigate some of these bodies of water for safety reasons. But I actually was talking to this fellow on the phone. I won't say his name. He asked me to come fish it, and I said, $5,000 entry fee. Excuse me. Basically 100% payback. And I said, look, I don't, this is cool, dude. Like, I like it. I said, I'm not coming, obviously, because, I'm home with the family. I've got a short break. Then I've got to go to Florida for 2 weeks. And, just a lot of road time for me. And I wanted to spend some time at home with the girls when I could, especially around Easter. But I said, one of my questions would be with a $5,000 entry fee and a 4-hour ride around, 3 or 4 hour, whatever it was, 4-hour ride around. Excuse me, I can't even talk. I don't want to show up to a lake. I'll fish against anybody, anywhere, at any time. Okay, but I want it to be an even playing field. Now, if I show up at a lake and I pay a $5,000 entry fee, and there's 50 boats in it, which is roughly what they had, and 30 of them are the best locals on the lake, and I don't have any practice, and they got 25 years experience on the lake, and it's spawn season or whatever, doesn't matter. I would give me a day or two at least, to ride around if I'm going to have to compete against 25 of the best locals on the lake who have years and years and years of experience and knowledge. That being said, I don't mind competing against them, but I'd like a day or two to kind of get dialed in and tuned up. My comment to him was, is this thing going to be full of all the best locals? No, this is only for touring pros. It's exactly what I was told on the phone, okay? Only for touring pros. Now, if anybody watched that tournament, there was 47 boats in it, and I think 30 of them were all local hammers, maybe 17 other guys, a few from out of state, about 15 tour-level pros. Now, if you look at the results, obviously it was top 5, I think was top 10, I think was dominated by tour-level pros. I know the Johnston brothers, I think Jared Littner, I believe. For the number of pros that were in the tournament, I think they pretty much ruled the roost as far as the majority of the money that was taken away. Chris Johnston won that tournament, and basically sight fishing, but pretty dominant deal down there. I think he had a gigantic bag one day, which helped carry him through. But shout out to Chris and his brother Corey. So what's interesting about those guys, a lot of people don't know this, but they split their tournament winnings.
I was about to bring that up.
They split their tournament winnings. So Chris and Corey, both phenomenal anglers, but they split their tournament winnings. So when it comes down to day 3, day 4, and one of them's first, second, third place, which is pretty normal for those guys, and the other one's in 40th, he will pour all his A stuff over to his brother in order for him to potentially come out on top in the tournament. So they are a very strong team. They work very well together, even though they're brothers. I think they want to kill each other half the time, but overall they do a hell of a job working together out there on tour, and very impressive work. But yeah, a lot of people don't know they split their winnings. So Corey won and Chris finished 5th or 4th or something. So they took home about $140,000 or whatever it was, and
then he won the event a couple weeks prior.
Yeah, that's right, Ryan. So total, yeah. So Chris won a tournament a couple weeks prior, and I actually asked Corey this. I said, because multiple people had told me that they split their winnings, and I said, y'all split your winnings anyway, don't you? He said, yeah. And I said, and I'm with you, Ryan. Like, that's pretty amazing. But that's one of those all in or all out deals. Like, you either do it like from day one and you stick to it, or you don't. But when both of you are solid anglers like that, and you work well together, like, that's the thing. Like, more often than not, one of them's in the hunt, and one of them might be a little bit lagging behind. So you kind of pour all your stuff one way or the other, and that's a pretty big deal. And that's hard to compete with, honestly. Like, I work with my roommates. Like, we share information, but I don't give them all my goods, like, regardless of what place I'm in. Like, as long as I'm still in a tournament, I'm still fishing all the stuff I can to pick up all the points I can and make as much money as I can to make the classic. But those guys, they share it all. So, and I knew, like, first day when I rolled up in that area where we were sight fishing, and Corey was in there, and Caleb Summerall was in there. He actually caught 28 that day, which was pretty crazy. And then Corey was in there, and it was myself, just 3 of us in there, and then his brother Chris rolled in there later, because I was in there in practice the first day, and I saw Chris in there, and I was in there in practice the second day, and I saw Corey in there. So I knew I was going to have some company in there with the Johnstons, and I knew it was going to be challenging. So I kind of expected that, but I knew smash the like button. There, Ryan, I said it. Ryan said he said we only have 17 likes on this video. Yeah, people aren't smashing the like button, are we? I guess we have to tell people to do that, but yeah, y'all hit the like button. Oh, and we've got 6,000 or 7,000 subscribers on YouTube now, guys. The views are great. Our podcast download numbers are way up. Our podcast downloads are really where it's at for us. We have a lot of people who listen to our podcast, but not near as many people, which is understandable with scheduling things like that they're able to engage in the live show. But if you get a chance, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the like button. Hit the like button. We appreciate that. Obviously, it helps us what we do. I wish we could do more of these shows for y'all, but scheduling, we just can't. We usually knock out 20 to 25 podcasts a year. I'm not sure exactly where we're at this year as far as numbers, but we'll try to get more and more to you as much as we can. If y'all are okay with it and y'all will have me without Smoke, I will get in here as often as I can, even when Smoke's not available, and try to knock out some of these shows. So if you don't mind listening to me jab, run my mouth for an hour as opposed to myself and Smoke, because Smoke's always fun. He's always in here throwing curveballs, and you never know what he's going to say next. So he's a trip, but we have a good time together. Trivia question. All right, it is almost 8 o'clock. Almost 8 o'clock. So it's almost time for our trivia question. Again, the trivia question is, Keith, I promise, we won't turn it into Let's Talk Turkey. Or let's talk deer hunting, or whatever you want to call it. We won't do that. I promise. Ryan, easy there. Somebody asked us a couple years ago about starting a hunting podcast, and Thrift looked at me like I was crazy. And hey, man, I wouldn't love anything more than sitting here for an hour and talking about hunting, because that's truly my passion in life. I mean, fishing is too. But fishing's my job, and hunting is my passion. So, not gonna lie. All right, we're gonna jump into this trivia question. So again, the prize tonight, coming at you from Angler's Choice Marine, is a $50 gift card to Angler's Choice Marine. All right, you can use that in their tackle store, which is acmtackle.com. You can use it on a new Ranger boat. We said that earlier. Again, they've got a huge spring sale going on until basically the end of May. It goes until Memorial Day. Up to $18,000 off on select models. $2,000 gift card to Bass Pro and Cabela's. But check out the spring sale they got on Rangers right now. Swing by your local dealer. Swing by your Angler's Choice. Again, they're over on. I'd do that, Mike. I could talk to Andy Morgan all day anyway. We didn't get to hang out enough back when we toured together on the FLW tour. I wish I got a chance to hunt with Andy and things like that, but our paths just never crossed enough in order to make that happen. But I'd love to get in the turkey woods one day with that man. He likes to kill a bird as much as I do, if not worse. But all right, trivia question time. Now, listen, if you win the trivia question tonight, a little different. Send us a message on Facebook like the winner normally does, but I need your name, first and last name, and your email address. Okay, this gift card will be emailed to you directly, and you'll be able to use it that way, as opposed to them having to mail out a hard copy. Takes longer. They can email you the gift card directly, and you can use it that way. So here we go. Trivia question is it refers to the St. Johns River event, the Bassmaster St. Johns River event. Where I was able to come away with a top 10. And the question is, in pounds and ounces, what was the largest bass that I weighed in over the 4 days at the St. Johns River during the tournament? Not during practice, but during the tournament. What was the largest bass in pounds and ounces that I weighed in over 4 days at the St. Johns River Bassmaster Elite? It wasn't 214, a little bigger than that. I see some close ones. In pounds and ounces. I see some really close ones. All right, I'm looking for it. Tyler, you looking for it?
I'm looking.
All right, you know the answer, right?
Yes.
It wasn't 78 pounds, Michael. You got it? I see one. Jonathan Stokes. Sounds like a new winner to me. Ding, ding, ding. 7 pounds, 1 ounce. 7 pounds, 1 ounce was the largest bass I weighed in during the 4 days down there at St. Johns River during the event. Jonathan Stokes, congratulations. Send us a message on our Facebook page with your name and your email address, and we'll get that gift card from Angler's Choice Marine out to you ASAP. That'll be for $50. Guys, gals, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Glad I got to get in here and do a show. I've got to leave Sunday to go to Lake Murray. I'd say maybe Brian would show back up in the studio next week and give y'all a show, but that ain't going to happen. He ain't coming in here by himself. There's no way. He's told me that before. He will not do that by himself. So, which, hey, it's all good. It's all good. I would love to watch Thrift talk for an hour by himself.
That'd be very interesting.
How do you think that would go down, Tyler?
A lot. Very quiet.
Very quiet. A lot of weird silence.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all tuning in, guys, gals. It's been fun. I think we got up to about 150 viewers tonight. But again, appreciate y'all sitting here and listening to me run my mouth, which is, some people say that's what I do best sometimes. At least my brothers nicknamed me Mouth when I was growing up. Literally, they called me Mouth. But yeah, we are headed to Lake Murray for stop number 5 of the Bassmaster Elite Series next week. Hopefully we can get on them hot and heavy down there and give y'all a good show. But appreciate y'all tuning in. When we can't go fishing, we're going to sit right here on Tuesday nights and talk fish. See y'all next time.